our forum as it was supposed to run. So our ground rules are: number one, we want to create a space of belonging and be inclusive of all viewpoints, whether we agree or not. We urge our candidates to extend respect to each other. Personal attacks, insults, or any form of disrespectful behavior will not be tolerated. Number two, the speaking order has been predetermined by a random draw, and right now it will just be Metasol and I doing a one-on-one conversation. Um, but the speaking order was predetermined if Mr. Regalato joins us by a random draw. Each candidate will have equal opportunities to speak. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer questions. Candidates should respond directly to the questions asked. If a rebuttal is needed, please ask to speak and you will have 30 seconds to respond. We provided a timer to help keep you concise and to ensure we hear from each candidate in a timely manner. If you go over your time by more than 5 seconds, you will be automatically muted. Candidates should wait for their turn to speak. Interruptions of each other is not allowed and you will be muted. We will have a Q&A open box for you to submit questions who are all watching in our Zoom. Towards the end of the forum, we will take questions from the audience. If there are any questions from Marisol or anybody here in the audience, if not, if all hearts and minds are aligned, we'll begin. And we'll open up with an opening statement from each candidate, which will be Marisol, a minute and a half introduction, as well as you can share why you're running for office for Miami-Dade County Appraiser and what your top priority is. So Marisol, we'll begin with you with your opening statement.
So if you can open the cameras, the host has it without the camera for me.
Okay. We'll give them a second to get you all set up.
Okay. Yep. Just got the message. There we go.
There you are.
Yes, there I am. Thank you so much, Janie. And thank you for the Miami Foundation and all the partner organizations for hosting this forum, which is so very important. A lot of times the Office of the Property Appraiser gets overlooked, but it is such an important office. So it is good that the community is engaged and learns about this. I know I was president of the League of Women Voters, and that was one of my things for the community to be engaged and for voters to participate and know who their candidates are, especially for our local races, which we all have so much to do in our daily lives. So these positions are so very important. As you mentioned, I am running to be the next property appraiser of Miami-Dade County. It is an elected position since it's been for a little while now, since 2008. What it is, though, it changed. In 2018, voters around the state voted in favor of Amendment 10, which created 5 constitutional offices. That's why we're having a sheriff, an elected tax collector, an elected supervisor of election, and that we didn't usually have. We had a clerk of courts and property appraisers as elected. However, it was nonpartisan. With the implementation of Amendment 10, it made it be partisan. So this is why it's the first time that it's going to be a partisan election.
Okay. Thank you so much for that warm introduction and letting the audience know a little bit about who you are and why you're running for this office. So we're going to jump right into our questions. And so our first question is, tell us, Marisol, why are you uniquely positioned to serve as property appraiser?
That's a great question. I'm uniquely able to run for property appraiser because I have over 25 years as a state licensed general appraiser, which is the highest designation in the state of Florida for property appraisers. In addition to that, I have almost 10 years working at the Office of the Property Appraiser, and this makes me uniquely qualified because I've been able to participate in the valuations of properties around the county, not only on the valuation part, but also on the defending the values as well as being out in the community doing outreach events. I am also very impressed and very passionate about what the office does and the importance of the office. I am an adjunct professor at FIU, my alma mater, and I was a former chairperson of the Commission on Human Rights. So all of these things made me an amazing candidate for this office.
Gotcha. Thank you. And so my next question is, how do you envision that you might use your position to address the housing crisis in Miami-Dade County and in our community as a whole?
So that's always an interesting question, because people believe that because we are the property appraiser's office, that we actually are able to influence in terms of making legislation for the housing crisis. We can help, though, by making sure that the property values are correct, making sure that the legal description and the assessments are accurate, because then we can give more availability to developers to construct affordable housing. Also giving the county commission and the mayor the ability to know what the actual tax value is, for them to figure out how can they invest in different areas and help in the housing crisis. It is something that is very concerning, and something that we as leaders need to need to look into, to be able to provide even regular people better, so they are better able to rent and to purchase homes, which is almost impossible at this point.
Thank you. My next question is, how do you plan to ensure the accuracy and fairness of property assessments across Miami-Dade County, particularly in diverse and economically varied neighborhoods?
Sure. That's something that the Office of the Property Appraiser, we're tasked with valuing and identifying all the real estate and intangible personal properties in the county. Along with that, we need to make sure that the assessments are accurate and fair throughout. We have all kinds of systems. We have professionals in the office that are very well versed on how to value properties, and we usually we follow the market. We go along with that, with the sales that are occurring, and I'm going to make sure, as a property appraiser, that we're using correct methodology in order to value them correctly. There are many reasons that we are currently not efficient enough in terms of our systems, that we need to make them better so it's fair throughout, and that all neighborhoods can rise and their property values can improve at the same rate.
Thank you. My next question is, what strategies will you implement to improve transparency and communication with property owners regarding their assessments and the appeals process?
That is again, the partners got really good questions. That is one of the things in my platform. I plan to be transparent by coming out to the neighborhoods, by hosting forums, and coming out to the libraries, coming to the churches, to the real estate groups, to explain how we value properties, because a lot of things people don't understand what they're paying for. Our county is over 54, approximately 54 people that have 54% foreign born, and they don't understand the system. So we need to use social media. We need to communicate in all languages, which was one of my big issues for people, so we can be transparent. Our taxpayers need and deserve somebody that is going to be there for them and that will understand the things that they're going through.
Thank you. And my next question is, how will you address the challenges of property value fluctuations in Miami-Dade County, especially in the light of the recent economic and environmental changes?
I tell you, that's one of the things that, as an appraiser, that's one of the concerns that I have, because we see the way the market values are increasing greatly right now. The market value increased about just over 10% for this year. And this is, bar something happening, this is going to perhaps slow down. I plan on being more efficient in the office and paying attention to the sales, making sure that those sales are accurate and correct. Along with that, and that we can use them in our ratios. Along with that, letting people know how they can avail themselves with the value adjustment board, where they can learn and know that they can challenge or contest our property values. Because with almost 1 million properties that we have, well, we don't always get them all correctly, and that's why taxpayers have the ability to have a special magistrate listen to them at the value adjustment board.
Thank you. And another question that I have for you is, what are the values that guide you every day?
So that's really good because it goes really personal. I value truth. I value fairness. I value being just and to people. I think that we are actually all pretty lucky, even the ones that are able to actually log in to this meeting and are able to use social media or use a computer and the internet, because there's many people that are not. And I translate that into my role as property appraiser, because when I appraise property, I think of how the office of the property appraiser impacts and forms our values. I see the people that are affected, directly affected by the property values, and whether we have them correctly or not, whether we do the exemptions, and whether we help them with all of these things. And then I see in a broader scale the importance of the office with providing fairness and equity throughout the county, since almost 40% of the county budget comes out of your property taxes. So all of those things are my values, and I sincerely hope that I'm the next property appraiser so I can emphasize on those.
Thank you. And another question that I have, since it's you and I just having a one-on-one, I get to ask a few more questions, if that's okay, if you don't mind.
Sure. I love it.
Yes. So I wanted to know, can you give me some examples of how you'll collaborate with community organizations if elected Miami-Dade County Property Appraiser?
For sure. So one of the things, when I was president of the League of Women Voters and chairwoman of the Commission on Human Rights of the county, along with all kinds of other nonprofit organizations and churches that I volunteered with, it is just that being able to be transparent and come to them and be able to assist with other community organizations, because only in partnerships can we do better. The Office of the Property Appraiser is very intertwined with the tax collector, with the clerk of courts, and all of our communities have things to do with those offices also. So in terms of community organizations and nonprofits, you are all there to help and assist all the community. So if we can provide information and workshops so people can understand and avoid many mistakes that are made with their properties, we could definitely collaborate in so many different ways. That's something that I've been wanting to do, because that's how we're able to achieve fairness throughout.
Thank you so much. And I wanted to know from you, because a lot of people may not understand the role of a property appraiser. Can you kind of break that down for them, for the everyday person, for someone who's not engaged in the civic process? In your own words, what is the job of the property appraiser?
Yes, I love doing this part because I love seeing the people's faces, how they light up when they see. The job of the Office of the Property Appraiser is to identify and appraise all real and tangible personal properties. What does that mean? Every single house, every single apartment, every single condo, every single vacant land, office building, every single property that has a folio, which is a parcel. We appraise that, and we do those assessment appraisals for taxable purposes. What happens then? After we get the market value and the assessed values, the mayor and the commissioners work on their budget. So from there, they come up with the millage rate depending on how much taxable value they have and how much budget, how much they're going to need from that taxable value for their budget. And then they parcel it out to the rest of the community. And that's how we have the services to pay for teachers, to pay for school board, to pay for the schools, to pay for police, for fire. I think we should, since it's just two of us, we should extend the timers. So we also administer the exemptions.
I'll give you a few more seconds to finish your thought.
Okay, so we administer the exemptions in order for people to have their homeowners or widow or veterans exemption. Then we have to submit all the value to the Department of Revenue for the tax roll to get approved. And that is how the county is able to access that taxable value and the money that comes to it for the county. That's a little synopsis from it.
Thank you so much for breaking that down for us. Right now, we want to give the audience a chance to give you some questions and give you opportunity to answer those. So thank you so much for those insightful responses. And I'll wait for the team to populate those questions for us so that you can answer them. And you'll have a minute and 30 seconds to summarize your key points and share any final thoughts after the Q&A.
Sure. Thank you.
Please enter your questions in the Q&A function. Anyone who's watching us on Zoom, you can enter them there and we'll be pulling questions from there. Okay, so we have a question. How many employees would you supervise?
So right
if
now,
elected property appraiser? Sorry.
Sure. I'm sorry about that. So the Office of the Property Appraiser, we have budgeted for 420 employees. We're functioning currently with less than that, about 2025. And one thing that what has been a big concern is that with the implementation of Constitutional Amendment 10, a lot of employees are choosing to leave the office because they're concerned about not being part of the county, which is what they started to work for. And they have that concern referring to what's going to happen with their benefits, or they're going to be at the whim of an elections every 4 years. Many of my coworkers are supporting me because they know that I am one of them. They know that I'm a regular person. I have regular lives like they do. And I understand the plight and the things that we're going through. And also I understand how to fix so many of the things, that I am ready on day one to be able to assist the public.
Thank you. Another question that we have is, how do you think the current property appraisal process, how do you think the current property appraisal process is? What would you change?
So right now, the process for single family residential is based mostly on sales that occur in your general area. While income producing properties, we do basically an income approach as well as a cost approach. So we use the three methods of valuation. I would be more inclined to pay attention to how we're valuing. That is not just based on one sale or two sales. That is actually the reflection of the market. Also, I would create another part is when people come during the trim period, when you receive your trim notices, that we understand and are more inclined to assist the regular taxpayer that hasn't availed themselves of an attorney to be able to challenge their taxes or their assessment, because people need more assistance because they don't other people hire attorneys in order to do this, and a lot of minority communities and communities of color, they don't know to avail themselves to for this service.
Thank you. Another question that we have from the audience is, how would you transition from employee to property appraiser when you get elected? Or excuse me, if elected?
When elected, I like the
I mean, I read the question verbatim, but I just wanted to be fair so people didn't. But if you want to affirm, you can.
So I would transition. So right now, because I am a county employee, I am on unpaid leave of absence through the elections. I ran in 2020 and obtained almost 47% of the votes. Over 180,000 people voted for me. However, I was not successful in that sense. So then you just transition back. When I win, though, I will have a period of learning and taking a lot of courses with the Department of Revenues in order to get me ready. I also plan on working with the administration to be able to start knowing and getting all the information of what's going on with the transition, which is going to be huge for our 5 constitutional offices. People are gonna be hearing a lot about that, because this is the first time that it's going to happen, that the office is actually going to be completely separate from Dade County mayor as well as the commission. We're going to be directly under the Department of Revenue.
Thank you. Another question we have from the audience is, what needs to be done to stop assessed value to go extremely high and blue collar people can afford to live in Miami-Dade County, especially in the area of Miami 21, Coral Gables, or Miami Beach?
So what needs to happen? Like I said before, the Office of the Property Appraiser is bound by state statutes that we have to follow and achieve certain ratios according to the properties that have sold and according to what the market is doing. So prior to coronavirus, we had been increasing every 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6% per year in terms of market value. However, after coronavirus, with the availability of money and low interest rates, property values skyrocketed because the supply and demand reasons. What do I plan to do? I plan to make sure that the properties are assessed correctly based on data and based on actual good sales and what the market conditions are. In addition to that, I will focus on letting people know that they need to lobby and create these types of spaces to lobby the mayor and their commissioners, because they're the ones that actually set the millage rate. And the millage rate is the factor that causes the taxes to increase or not. And of course, they do it based on what they think they're going to need in terms of budget for the services that they want to give to the community.
Thank you. And just want to ask the Miami Foundation team, do you guys want me to read the questions in the Q&A or the chat? Which questions would you like me to prioritize?
Hey, Janae. Oh, go ahead, Rebecca.
Yeah, you and I both. I see them coming in both places. You can prioritize whichever questions you think will help the most listeners.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll head over to the Q&A because I see a few here. What kind of education or skills are required to be a property appraiser?
It depends on what type of property appraiser you are. Ideally, so at the Office of the Property Appraiser, the Miami-Dade County office, we've had 2 property appraisers since 2008. They have Mr. Garcia, who is my boss and is not seeking re-election. He was the first one that was elected, and he was an appraiser, or say certified appraiser, as well as state magistrate, a special magistrate at the Value Adjustment Board, and a realtor. Then we had former Lieutenant Governor Carlos Lopez Cantera, which was also a state representative and a realtor, and has a lot of interest in properties in the county. So I believe the Office of the Property Appraiser is just that, the Office of the Property Appraiser, and that you need to be an appraiser to be able to understand the value and be able to help the community when these value fluctuations, when you have to make decisions on how to assess one property over another. So even though we have appraisers in the office, we need to elevate them, and we need to pay attention to what they want. But it should be an appraiser for the Office of the Property Appraiser.
Thank you. We have an anecdote and a story here in the comment section that I would like to share with you, and there's a question attached. Um, the comment is from Davika, and it says, in late 2022, I sold my home for $470,000 in the Andover area of Miami Gardens. The home was purchased by a private investor out of New York City. Approximately 1 year later, the home was listed for $700,000. What was alarming was only painting and corporate furniture was used for Airbnb. What was alarming was only painting and corporate furniture was used for Airbnb staging. In the property appraiser's office, what can be done to stop the influx of market home value spikes? There has to be some equity.
So that's a great question. When we value the properties, we go at approximately 85% of whatever the property sold if it's an arm's length transaction, meaning that there was no undue stress on neither of the parties selling. So once we do that, that moves the entire population. What probably happened with that property, as that one sold for 400, maybe there were all other properties selling within that same year, and the property values kept increasing. As I said before, this is a major concern of mine because a lot of corporate owners are purchasing these properties and either just renting out, which is keeping a lot of people out of the market. So we really need a cohesive strategy from the county, the county leaders to be able to work on these things, because we're going to need to increase affordable and workforce housing. And, which this is a really loaded question, because even with that, it's putting out people from actually obtaining their home and building equity, which they pass along to their children. This is generational wealth. So all of these things are things that we need more time, and I need more time to explain. And that's why I'm going, as an appraiser, I will be transparent coming to the communities, because there's a lot of things that people don't understand that affect the property values and affect what they are getting assessed for. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a question from Larry in the chat. Will you consider opening satellite offices for constituents residing in the North and West Miami-Dade County?
Yes, actually, thank you so much for that question. That it will be during my time of the things that I plan to do for the office. I've been saying, and that's part of my stump speech, I have already been in conversations with county and city commissioners and library and the library department to be able to open satellite offices throughout the entire county. Because right now, unless it's during our trim and outreach periods, you need something to do with the office. You need to go to downtown or South Dade. It's really, really challenging for a lot of folks, especially our elderly population, to take either a bus or the train, and the reliability thereof, or have to drive and bring and pay $12 an hour for parking just to solve an issue. In addition to that, I plan on having extended business hours at least a couple of days during the week and on Saturdays, because our younger people that are working or have childcare issues, it's very difficult for them to take 3 hours off from work and lose the money that they would generate only to come to the office. So we need to give them earlier and later hours, as well as Saturday availability, to make it more accessible to the people once again.
Thank you. And here's a question that is a little bit of a hot button topic about people moving to Miami. So I wanted to ask you this and get your take on it. This is from the chat as well. Xavier asks, what impact do you think the recent influx of people moving to Miami has on property values?
That's actually what's caused the increase in property values. And that's why before I stated that after the crash of 2008, 2009, properties took a dip, because of course it was huge for the market. After that, we were steadily increasing 3, 4, 5, 6%. But then during coronavirus, when everybody saw that the climate, that people in Miami had pools and they had parks and they could be outside without the restrictions of being inside their homes at COVID, along with the state of Florida not having income, personal income taxes, right, or state income taxes, that made it very desirable for a lot of people. What happens, and where the unfairness comes, that a lot of these buyers are cash buyers. These are people that either had the money to buy it right off the bat, or that were able to borrow money at very low interest rates. It wasn't until the interest rates have started going up that it's cooling, and that's why last year we had 13% increase. This year we have 10. But again, people when it's time to pay the taxes, people want the values to be low. When it's time to sell your property, you usually want it high. We need to get it correct. And we need to lobby the mayor and the commissioners to keep the millage rates low so people can continue to afford their houses and stay in their house, especially our elderly population. Thank you for that question.
I'm not sure how many questions we have time for, but there are two questions that came up in the Q&A. One of them I would like for you to address because this is something that living in Miami is a Miami thing. And so I would like to get your take on this as a candidate for a property appraiser. This is a question from an anonymous person. It says, what do you think can be done about properties that are improved illegally? For example, additional rooms or extensions to their homes. And so they are not appraised and taxed correctly.
That's a huge thing, and also one of the things that I seek to address is the homestead fraud. A lot of people, they either claim homestead and they're living somewhere else, which is illegal. Other people increase or rent portions of their homes, which then you're not allowed to the exemption on the entire home. So these are the things that the Office of the Property Appraiser, there was a time there that we used to have actually collaboration with the Miami-Dade Police Department in order to go after this. Now we only rely on people, neighbors letting us know what's going on, and then we go after that. We need to be able to be more proactive, because every time that somebody commits fraud, that's something else that somebody else is paying. The rest of us are paying, which is the same thing that we have when we lose a lot of money at because our values are not correct or accurate at the value adjustment board. We lose billions of dollars, billions with B. And these are things that need to be addressed. So, and that's one of the things of me being an appraiser, understanding how to value properties, that we can get this corrected.
Thank you. And we have time for one more question. And this one is about short-term rentals. So I would like to get your take on this as well. This is from Brittany Morgan in the Q&A. We've seen novel properties worldwide to reduce short-term travel rentals in order to increase the availability of rental supply, like the Barcelona Airbnb ban. Will Miami-Dade County consider anything similar if under your leadership?
So the Office of the Property Appraiser would enforce the valuation part. Right now, the County Commission creates the legislation, and they actually they have rules as to who and where can these short-term rentals occur. I know the city of Miami Beach and so many of the other cities have really strong rules to enforce that this doesn't happen. In terms of what the Office of the Property Appraiser can do, we can make sure that so you are able to rent it up to 30 days in a year. Okay, not constantly, because you will lose your homestead exemption. I propose and I plan on being more active, going into Zillow, going to Airbnb, and seeing these different sites. Just monitoring that they are not being rented, because we're not doing that. I think we need to be more proactive and more caring for people to be paying their share of their taxes, just like the rest of us.
Thank you. And I think we have one more question, because I actually want to ask you this, because no one has, we haven't talked about the actual office and the employees and the people who will work under you. So this question directly addresses that. If elected, are you going to help office to increase the budget for modernization of tools that are used or needed for the staff, as well as the staff salaries? And how will we know that you will follow through?
So I will definitely do those. We've had, like I said, a max exodus because of the people feeling that they can't rely on the office of the property appraiser. I want to make sure that my coworkers and my future employees know that I am there with them and I understand. In addition to that, the county actually reclassified many of the positions since about 2-3 years ago, doing similar positions as the one as the property appraiser, and increased it. So a lot of our employees left over there. And we used to have an influx of appraisers because of what was happening in the market coming to the office. Because of our salaries are being low, that hasn't been happening. What do I plan to do right now? We have a budget that we're not fully utilizing and which has been approved. We've been under budget for years. As I said, we've been scheduled for 420 employees. We're running at a capacity of 382. So we need to make sure that that money is used for the people that are there. I plan on keeping the same benefits that they currently have with the county, because this is really important. Also, I plan on being conscientious of their family issues and things happening. And all of these things are already being done. We just needed to be more cohesive and organized, and with a view of how can we help the taxpayers and our workforce, which are so important to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much to the audience for those amazing questions. And thank you, Metasol, for taking the time to explain your point of view of everything. So right now, we're going to get into the closing of the forum. Thank you all for your insightful responses and your questions. As we approach the end of our forum, you'll have a minute and 30 seconds and an opportunity for your closing remarks. You'll be able to summarize your key points and share any final thoughts with our audience. And Marisol, we'll start and end with you.
Thank you so much. And once again, I'm so grateful to the Miami Foundation and to the partners for hosting this forum and giving the opportunity of me to interact with the taxpayers and the voters, and for them to see who I am, that they know that I am a licensed real estate general appraiser, appraising in Miami-Dade for over 25 years as a fee appraiser, and then 10 years working already at the office of the property appraiser, which you don't find that very much. I'm civically engaged with my community. I care about my community. When I see what we do, I know how people are affected by the decisions that we make at the office. Along with that, I'm a adjunct professor at FIU in the School of Public Administration, where I gained my master's. And the office is there to serve the community. I plan to be engaged, to be transparent. I am not a politician, even though this is the second time that I've run, but I'm a regular person. Because of life situations, I moved in with my mom. She herself lost two different exemptions because I make more than the $36,000 allotted. I plan on working with the county to increase the local exemptions that we can have, and will alleviate the tax burden of our taxpayer, and especially of our elderly population and young people just getting into the market. Thank you so much. Please go to marisolcenteno.com and visit my website so you can learn more about me that we can engage on tonight. My election is in November 5th. I do not have a primary, so don't expect me to be on the August ballot. I don't have a number yet, but I will be your next property appraiser. I'll be the first female property appraiser in the county. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your closing remarks. And this concludes our first Vote Miami virtual forum for our candidate for the office of Miami-Dade County Property Appraiser. Thank you so much, Metasol, for being a trooper and rolling with the punches. Thank you so much, Miami Foundation team, the Vote Miami team, for everything that you guys did. Like, just somebody from being in production and working in media is no easy feat to kind of roll and change things at the last minute. So everybody, let's just give ourselves a round of applause and a pat on the back. And thank you, audience, for rolling with us and just being engaging and asking those questions. It still turned out to be an amazing forum and very informative for the voters, which, you know, is the purpose of this. So I would like to leave us with these closing remarks. Again, my name is Janae Tate, founder of Hilo News, South Florida's only news site for Black and Brown millennials. I want to extend my sincerest gratitude to all the candidates for their participation and to our audience for their engagement and thoughtful questions. Please remember to exercise your right to vote this upcoming primary election on August 20th and in the general election on November 5th. Your vote is your voice in shaping the future of our community. Let me get that one more time, okay? Because that's important. Your vote is your voice in shaping the future of our community. Thank you again for joining us this evening. Please learn more about the upcoming candidate forums on votemiami.org.